money, over billions when you calculate them. So then come with some of the projects, then for example, then come with one and say, forgive 800 million, I think that's 7 to 800 million for do sensitization in 15 chiefdoms of Bo. So,
7 to 800 million leons for go do sensitization.
Yes. So definitely with me on common sense, sensitization are the kind of thing where you can't actually, it's not a tangible. If me give you money, say go build water well, I can go check, see if you build the water well. If you not build the water well, I'm going to say you not build the water well. That money I give you, you not use them, how you for use them. But if me give you 800 million leons, you're not NGO, I say you go sensitize the youths of both districts. There's no way for me for no, because sensitization is not a tangible. All what you will do, you will just snap photo them. You can't give me say I don't do sensitization done. But
Sylvia, this allegation where they make seem for be a very serious one, because even when they talk about corruption in a country like Sierra Leone, it mostly associated with the government. And now they tell we donor partners them can meet you and say money left we then suppose for shape. Which shape this way they talk about? You want clearly explain that?
Well, you see, the documents are all there. Like the one I just tell you about. So, say, for do sensitization at the 15 chiefdoms of Bo. With me on common sense, I realize this is just a way for channel funds so that it can go through certain other channels. So I resisted that. And it is very unfortunate, Sierra Leone, the governance structure, you have what you will call the civil service, then you get the political class. The political class, you can get the best possible intentions. You get your manifesto, you get what you tell your people there, and you believe in that, you get your agenda for prosperity, and you want for market, you want for pusher, you want for make sure it comes to fruition. Then you get the civil service class, when then at the machinery, where for make sure say, then push your agenda forward. Now, if your agenda, also the agenda for prosperity, they tell you, say, I'm not going to take 800 million, I go give one NGO, say go do sensitization at 15 chiefdoms of Bo. But then you have the civil service class, well, that then wants to happen. Immediately, you get the first clash between you, the politician, with desire for push your agenda for prosperity forward, and then you get the other class of people then, we get their own agenda, where, not even near your own agenda. And it can also sad, this is one of the problems where, one of the reasons why they do this at the start, because this is just a start. This is a process I get to continue over the next 5 weeks, still reach elections day. I want to raise some of them issues, I bring them to the fore. One of the things that we're wrong with democracy, and one of the things that will give me problem inside the Ministry of Social Welfare, I show him always a yeri, fight there, argument there, draw there. The reason being, the staff who you get for work with, you meet the staff, and maybe those staff, they don't see the same vision that you do. So if you try for push, and then the staff, they now with the donor funds people them, where they don't can meet the system we corrupt. Now because of your own people them, we share your own vision, we share your own agenda, you're going to have a clash.
But again, what if this vision of the staff where they talk about, where maybe not be there in tandem with your own vision, the staff were actually representing the vision of the president, Ernest Bai Koroma? Because at the end of the day, we witness a situation where the president sack you and left the staff here where you did talk about.
That's a very, very brilliant observation where you make, and quite a few people don't make it to me, that maybe waiting me they see as fighting for the president's agenda was not really what the president may want. No one agree with that. To me, in fact, pull a statement earlier this morning, where I issued out on social media, where I make them very clear, as far as I'm concerned, the president is a good man. The president in vision, what he mean for this country, a good vision. A lot of people then react and say, oh no, not true, the president had this, the president had that.
Yeah, because maybe I was also going to say the same thing, for say if you don't think say it is hypocritical that you are painting President Ernest Bai Koroma as an angel, as up to this morning also, the post where you put on social media, that this man is an angel, when the general perception, it will seem, even if he's not corrupt, he's surrounded by corruption.
First of all, I don't think I use the word angel. And I don't think I will ever call him an angel.
Well, I think they paint him like an angel for say he's a good man, even when a lot of people think say he's surrounded by corruption.
But yeah, that's one of the challenges that I faced today. But it mostly came from the opposition. The opposition, I think they may expect a situation where they can blast and it's by Goma, they can blast. And when they realized that was not going to happen, then they started reacting the way they reacted this morning. But if you look, all of them were from the new parties and from the SLPP, the traditional SLPP party, and they vexed this morning, say, oh, I should not say the president is a good man. The same talk where he said they talk. But to me, and this is based on my own personal interactions while they go with the president, I actually believe he's a good man. I actually believe, say, in vision, where he may get was solid.
And what if, after all, he's not a good man?
What I feel that the issue is the president's in a very lonely job. Okay. And you cannot have too many people as your friends. There has to be a select group of people the way that they provide for you emotional support, that they provide for you, like it make you a moral compass. So you come in, you identify these people, and then you surround yourself with. I think what the president's problem is that some of these people, when are in moral compass, when are them, they provide emotional and psychological support for them at the office, around. Some of them might not share his vision. For me one-to-one interaction with him, based on me one-to-one interaction, I make I say he's a good man. Based on my own vision, my own discussion, then what I don't get with him in vision for Sierra Leone is why I say he's a good man. And for me also, I also want to throw this out to the opposition out there. The president has between 5 weeks to 6 weeks, maximum 2 more months in office. I think what we should be doing is giving him a soft landing rather than attacking him as a bad man like the way they were doing today. To me, I think he has scored a lot of positive goals. He has so much to his credit in the last 10 years that we can boast about as a party, as a nation. So to me, I prefer to look at me, as I say, my own personal perception of him, that he's a good man.
So if that is your personal perception about him, that he's a good man, maybe you are the bad one, because it will seem for let him reach to a point, usai and get for sack you betrayed his trust.
You see, I want to make you give me small time address that issue there. I watched the president resist tremendous pressure, and I mean tremendous pressure for sack me. He was under, when I say, a lot of pressure, a lot of gimmicks. You may see some of the news reports and waiting at the media. Oh, Sylvia don't do this, oh, Sylvia don't do that. He was under tremendous pressure. And this pressure came because of my very firm stance to ensure that waiting at the APC manifesto, now we do at the Ministry of Social Welfare, Gender and Children's Affairs. But unfortunately, that they mean they contrary to waiting certain other people them, one working at the ministry, two in the donor community may want. So they came up with a lot and lots of scenarios. I will give you one. We had these post-Ebola presidential priorities, which one of the things that the Minister of Social Welfare is supposed to do is to take care of the Ebola survivors then. I inherited the situation where the Ebola survivors, they don't want to see the government. They were out of the streets, they demonstrate, then no one foresee the government, then don't vex and say the government don't let them down. And you would agree with me that for the 20 months I was the minister, the Ebola survivors had confidence, apart from one or two times due to their traumatic experience, they went to the Ogona radio and say one or two things about the Ministry of Health, their medicine, but they were kept satisfied. However, that revealed today that it was tough to get the donor community for do what they are supposed to do for the Ebola survivors at a point. Why? Because then Sylvia Blyden no they up to the game of let's give $300,000 to $400,000 to NGOs. The NGOs then will shape the money. We all know how the shaping they happen with the donors and the NGOs and the certain staff, and if the minister self want. And I wasn't up for that. So they started creating these scenarios. And at each point of the road in the creative scenario, they can bounce off on the president that this minister should go. This minister not for stay.
So Sylvia, if you think the president was under this tremendous pressure, why you not be make him easy for him? As a blue-eyed girl to the president, somebody with the president they look forward to, and if you put her in a situation where people they be the pressure him for sack you, and you say at some point
I agree
he
with
resist
you,
all of their pressure. So why did you not make it simple for him by resigning?
Well, it's one of two things here. The first point, you have to realize that I had resigned from State House under the same president appointing me. I explained earlier, say the president gets in support mechanism. And that support mechanism, I had issues with them when I was at State House. I took a decision and I resigned. But then it came to a point where we had the Ebola audit report will come out. Shortly after that, we had the Samsumana saga. So even though I had resigned, from the outside, I came in full force to protect the president. So much so that people then say, oh, then still they pay Sylvia in the State House, which wasn't even true. But because of the way I saw the president was vulnerable, I decided to come in and make sure I provide additional support to protect him. He was so impressed at the fact that even after I don't resign, I'm on the outside, I'm ready to come out and defend him and protect his image, that he called me and said, make I come back into government. In fact, he said, make I come back in the State House. That was a no-no, going back to State House. Eventually, he said, I will be a minister and one of the ministries then. But the fact remains that His Excellency the President, in support mechanism, the people the way they look up to for and support, providing moral compass, and emotional support, it's a very lonely job. Those people, he gave me the assurance that yes, you resigned from State House because you and them people here want me to get along. But I can assure you now that after the way you fought for me during the Samsumana saga, after the way you got out the issues, because the Ebola audit, if you remember when it first came out, they were just attacking the president. Oh, don't thief money, don't thief money, don't thief money. I had to come in from the outside and redirect the conversation to the reality, which was that the Constitution says that the president may even order such an audit. So realize that instead of when they cost this man, when I realize when I tell this man thank you, because this man I actually say let them go audit because the thief may look past mark by Ebola money. So in the process of coming on board for defend them, he said to me that the people them, where they provide emotional support for them, the moral compass, that they all now like me. They all see how I don't fit for them. So let me come back to governance and let me work. I raised concern. I said, Your Excellency, I know what I went through when I was at State House with these same people. I would not want to go back into government and I have these challenges. Oh, he gave me the assurance that there would not be that challenge. The reason why I didn't want to go back was because I have political ambitions. Now, if I had resigned a second time from the same appointment by the same president, it would give an impression of me being a quitter. That is, somebody, when I don't get work, as when I get work, so they resign. Then they not put pressure. Any small work and get as them pressure, and so they resign. That would have been the outcome. So here was I, sitting there as the Minister of Social Welfare, facing all these tremendous challenges. Under normal circumstances, I would have resigned. But how could I resign? Resigning a second time, it was a political dilemma I found myself. And secondly, but most importantly, Fonty, I actually was enjoying my job. I was enjoying the impact I was making in the lives of vulnerable people. I was enjoying translating the vision of His Excellency the President and the All People's Congress into reality in the lives of some of the most marginalized and vulnerable people in our society. I was enjoying restructuring the Ministry of Social Welfare so much so that we can have social workers now deployed into areas that we never had social workers before. I was enjoying creating a scenario where children who used to be abandoned, especially in the rural areas, could now be repositioned into homes where they're taking care. I was enjoying so much.
Sylvia, you still have these nice comments about the president, but here is a gentleman where some other people go, they say, by what you explain, if not anything for go by, he's using you, disgracing you, and sacking you, and you are still positive about him. Are you scared of him?
It's interesting where the psychology in the play, because as I said, the president was under tremendous pressure to sack me after so many gimmicks happened. When the psychology in the play, one of the psychology they played on the president was that asking the president if he is scared of me, that is, if I'm blackmailing him. So I remember at one point where one newspaper actually writes, say, now blackmail, that I get something on the president, will make the president afraid for sack me. So I find that so interesting where they put an out, say, maybe the president has something on me will make me afraid or scared of him. Nothing like that. I have a relationship with President Nkrumah that goes beyond the politics. He was my friend before he became president. I helped him to write his biography that he used to become president. And I think after he leaves the presidency, by the grace of God, he will continue to be my friend. I think he's a good man. I'm not going to subscribe to those who they try for push, say he disgraced me, he sacked me.
So what happens to the question of insubordination? There was a letter from the secretary to president where they clearly they give you an ultimatum for say you are supposed to sign the PET form for the disabled commission, and that if you were not going to sign that form, you were going to face the sack. And you still not sign that form. You stayed in government. You did not resign. So what you go say to somebody who go think say na insubordination that?
Well, if you look my chest. Right now, I don't know if the camera can able zoom in on them.
The camera, they right now your chest now. They right now your chest now.
You clearly see, right at the top, you see the Sierra Leone flag. And immediately under you see the All People's Congress, which is the political party I belong to, the APC badge. But the flag is at the top of the All People's Congress. And if I may get a badge, we get President Nkrumah in face, for put them under the All People's Congress. Meaning, in terms of importance, to me, nothing more important than Sierra Leone, first point. Second point, Sierra Leone is more important than the All People's Congress. And third point, the All People's Congress and Sierra Leone is more important than President Nkrumah. Now, I was asked to do what was not in the interest of Sierra Leone. So for me, it wasn't even an issue. It was what man would call a no-brainer.
So if it was a letter coming from the office of the president,
it was from the president himself,
asking you to do what is not in the interest of Sierra Leone,
I will not do it.
How you go able to explain that with the fact that you are saying the president is a good man? Someone that has asked you to do something, in your view, that is not in the interest of Sierra Leone?
Well, the president sent to tell me, sign these PET forms. Me, with my conscience, no say if I sign these PET forms, I betray even in the president. Because it means the disabled community way, they're so bitter right now. It means I would have been betraying his vision for the country, betraying, waiting good for Sierra Leone. And for me, it's not something that you can even debate. The best that would happen, I would get the sack. So by what you explain, so it will seem like you resist corruption, but immediately after your sacking, there is a rumor of corruption against Sylvia Blyden. They say 6 billion loans, the TIFAM na the ministry, under your supervision. 6 billion loans corruption scandal. Yeah, that was just a cooked up allegation. For the last 10 weeks, I've been throwing out challenges to people and telling them, I want to know about the 6 billion. Because Mr. Sef, that morning, tell me why I read the 6 billion. Mr. me in shock. The radio station decide for air. 6 billion also became money. Air, and then
so you go with that money. There's how you go with that 6 billion maybe the social welfare ministry. That's
a cooked up allegation. No 6 billion not missing. If I want cent Sef not missing, as I tell you, the letter, the one that tell me for signing the PET forms, the radio station interview, now the end effect of a long-term game that was going on. And maybe if you give me a few minutes, I can explain to family, let them really understand what they go on.
Go ahead, I can give you that.
I released an audio also today along with the writings, where they address the UNICEF country director. By the way, for records purposes, that audio, they are sent to the current UNICEF country director before I release him. I tell him, say, hey, listen, I want him to know that I'm going to release it. And he got back to me and he tell me, say, he perfectly understand why make I say I want to release him. So I released that audio date this morning. It was recorded on the people then would all listen. If you're not listening yet, it's on the internet, it's on social media. I recorded that audio on the 15th of December 2016, which is something like 13 months ago.
Okay.
I told everybody in the room, I'm going to record this because what I'm going to say, I'm going to say it. This was the fact. And it was a very strong worded statement, then, factual statement, because I was fed up with the corruption. I was fed up with what was happening. I was fed up with the way Ebola survivors were being treated. I was fed up with the way vulnerable citizens were being treated by these donors. And I wanted it on record. Mm-hmm. Now, the end effect was, if you listen to audio, you hear what they talk, say, I'm going to write a letter today to your bosses in New York, because that was my plan. But then at the end of the meeting, they can meet me and say, dear, don't write this letter. Let the Ministry of Finance, Foreign Affairs, the UNICEF, I can sit down and handle this issue. But suddenly, on the 20th of December, the 15th was a Thursday, 16th Friday, weekend happened, 20th now Tuesday. Mm-hmm. They started this spiral because I did not see now the points that I had made in that audio. These are factual points. I will stand by them anytime, any day, and I urge all Sierra Leoneans then for listen to that audio. When I go locate that audio, and I listen to waiting I say they, because this is the crux of the matter of hundreds of millions of leons, hundreds of millions of dollars when they say that they bring kind of country for people them, where at the end of the day, we're not seeing our people their lives. So when I go listen to that audio, it will give an idea of what they go wrong. And it will help you for reshape the country as we approach these 5 weeks where they cancel to elections. It will help you when I listen to that audio. It will help you for start a conversation with the presidential candidates them. So whosoever they win, they know now say with people of Sierra Leone, don't wake up. Then don't know that boku money when I can say don't know them bring how they shape them. How the money they shape, how the money they waste, then don't know.
Blyden,
but come to the point.
Who and what were you really fighting at the Social Welfare Ministry? Because you did tell me say now you were fighting corruption in the Social Welfare Ministry, where maybe largely waiting the public know that Sylvia Blyden was fighting children, Sylvia Blyden was fighting people the way they for the disabled them. So what and or who were you really fighting?
I'll put it in one sentence, in one word. I was fighting corruption. Nothing else but corruption. So
what in corruption gets for do with picking them where they be say you beat na your ministry?
When I am the council, just now. On the 15th, I make that audio. On the 20th, I normally work very late. 20th in the night. Suddenly, picking them come up from nowhere. Then say them for go corner the next day for some session. Okay, but this is not planned, and we can't risk picking their lives them for go corner on any kind of session, boss not fix fine. So this one I go hang it properly with the director. To cut a long story short, what end up they happen? UNICEF now had this the director of planning or something. He can one picking with me adopt. Say this Peking, I'm one of the CFM Peking and I can't be and me did it again. Mm-hmm. But make you see now say this was a way, it was so sad for watch people and they use Peking them. It came to a point, if you remember, I actually been called on Parliament. Say let Parliament come into that matter and do an open hearing of what really happened. Mm-hmm. Because what happened wasn't the case of Sylvia Blyden in the first Peking them. It was a case of UNICEF, the director, plus certain people them we want Sylvia Blyden out of the seat. They use vulnerable picking them for go lie. And they kept on trying to force these lies. But eventually, the public may able to go through and see, say, no, nothing I we don't they talk so not make aid or not make tail. So then beat picking or wound. So then beat picking, nobody not get photo. So then beat picking, wound, evidence not there. So it came out very clearly that it was more noise. And this is one of the things I was telling you that the president resisted. This is one of the things we make I tell you, say the president a good man. Because any other person, that kind of pressure from the donor community, UNICEF, from the so-called civil society, from even within the ministry, from even within the president in support mechanism, in emotional support mechanism where you get, the type of pressure we then put on them for sack me, for them for see through, say this na a gimmick for make her pull this lady as minister, it shows that he's a good man. This is one of the examples I can give as to why I will continue to insist that he is a good man.
This morning, your post on the social media was that you claim, say, you were even using your personal money for run the ministry, but when you come out today, they're saying that you thief government money. How you go able to explain that clearly to the understanding of the public?
You see, I mean,
explain one thing and other people saying something else.
I mean, explain to you that they enjoy the job. I was enjoying the job. Because you actually, it is a ministry where you see the results in human life. And there's no feeling that is better than seeing how you don't improve somebody in life from one point to another point. I'll give you like one example. That was one Peking where they beat them mercilessly up in the north to subside them in the Menam. We relocate them to in people then in family tell you say that because school not there, make we send and go, we make them beat them. We relocate them, then the ministry begin take care of an out to a caretaker, guardian, mother. You see that beginning in life, you see how that beginning in life change. That's emotional value. I mean, you cannot even value the emotional good feeling where they get out of it. I was enjoying the job. And in the process of enjoying the job, you meet challenges where you want to do things that have been budgeted for. You know this has been budgeted for, but they tell you there are no funds. I'll give you one example. President Nkrumah made a promise to the disabled citizens then that we enact the Disability Act, they will get free medical, and certain other things that will be due to them. After a year, few months to a year on the seat, I realized the disabled citizens, they are very, very displeased. What they have been promised was not happening. So one of the decisions we took was that we should do a survey first, especially one in the western area. We do a survey quickly of them, do a statistical analysis of the type of different types of disabled people, them, who side and tap, who are homeless, who doesn't in a camp, etc. But just do a statistical analysis completely of them. Budgeted 40-something million leons. This was a time when the mudslide, they were for implementing that because I had to bring a gentleman from Cambia for Countdown because we had the mudslide and everybody's attention was focused on the mudslide. I give directives, say, on a disbursed funds, then start this survey. They begin delay for disburse the funds. But unfortunately, I was in hospital, I was admitted, I'm sick. So I'm not able to come out for go push them for make sure they disburse the funds. So what did I do? I just called my private office, called my bank. I said, release funds for me. The first initial amount, 20-something million for my personal funds. I give them, then start the project. Got Fabi College students, got the program officer. They started the program with my personal funds. Now, why would I do that? Twofold. One, I was enjoying the job. Two, I wanted the president in legacy for be one where the disabled citizen there, then we don't get, at least in the western area, we don't get a numerical data on them, give them ID cards. And I was also working with the chief medical officer for make sure, say, then start waiting them for do for the waiting at the act, that is, then for get free medical care. So that is how far we had gone. But if I mean wait for the civil servants where they delay, they put, there was, well, I mean, I have been sacked. So when the project no go to fruition because of, I mean, my successor and all. Okay. But the fact remains that if I had not taken my personal funds to kickstart that project, and at the end of the day, I spent 49 million leons Fonti of my money
You use 49 million leones of your personal money to service an activity of the government of Sierra Leone.
It sounds...
That doesn't sound really strange to me, because when you talk about Sierra Leone and you talk about Sierra Leone government functionaries, we know about situations where government people will use government money for their personal use. But this way you did tell me kind of strange. That's not the A part of the question. And the B part of the question, I believe, say the President Ernest Bai Koroma-led government of Sierra Leone not to owe Monga government, so they're going to pay you that money they back.
Definitely they're not paying me the money back yet, and I'm not pushing for it per se. But in terms of spending money on the ministry, I can tell you today, I can tell the people of Sierra Leone today, say, my personal funds, if you calculate how much I spent to make sure the ministry functions. I'll give you another example. We are supposed to create an online database for Ebola survivors. The same UNICEF people then say, oh, one timeline don't pass, so the system don't lock, they're not going to release the funds. And the president, we had to make sure that database was up and running. I just used my credit card. I paid thousands of pounds sterling for that database, thousands of pounds sterling of my money. But this is not strange. If people don't really know me, they don't say not a strange thing. Well, I'm in the State House, I'm in go Canada, the time for that Ebola crisis. I pulled $7,000 per million money for air freight, $100,000 worth of Ebola goods there for camp. So yes, government functionaries, if I can land, then don't use for them take money and put it in their own pocket. But me on government functionary are a different kind. When I see side where I feel to say I can able step in and eventually then go refund and give me, I would pour it in and make sure, because one, the poor president gets a vision, get promised the way don't make to people them, and time they run out. We had to make sure some of these promises, at least we get them delivered before it hand over. That was my vision at that time.
The poor president where you did talk about, President Ernest Bai Koroma, what in really you do, President Ernest Bai Koroma? Because to the public, to we will not know, it would seem he is very bitter against you. Because even at the time where you began at the ministry, we witnessed a situation where your functions, where you stopped. Take the Hajj, for example. Now, social welfare ministry, supposed for handle that. They don't give you, they give some other people. And then they end up a corruption. Well, we see you end up come out very good in that. We witnessed a situation, the mudslide issue. That is a social welfare issue, wherein now you as a minister be supposed for they in charge. And we witness a situation where all of their functions here, now be the office of the vice president sort of be they run them. So what did you really do to the president that the public thinks he's bitter against you?
Well, I don't really feel that the president bitter against me.
But
I might
you
be
sought
wrong.
your functions.
Wait, Alan. I might be wrong. But what me feel say happened was the same pressure I tell you about, the psychological pressure of saying, finding one reason or the other as to why Sylvia not for handle this thing. And because of his support mechanism, when at the end his moral compass, his emotional supporter, now they look up to, if they put the pressure the right way, because you work with the president for 10 years, they don't work with him for 10 years, they know him. They know his soft spots. They know how to press his buttons. They know they are his party members. They are his staffers. So they know what buttons they can press whereby they can get things done. I mean, I'm the type of person where I'm laid back. If, like the Hajj issue, for example, if you don't mean come out that kind of scandalous way we come out so, I don't mean for saying nothing where them pull on me and carry and go to the office of the vice president. There is so much work to do already in the ministry. Now, when the scandal came out now and people had to ask questions because the Minister of Social Welfare issue, so I had to explain that no, my hands are clean. But I will continue to say that the president was under a lot of psychological pressure when it came to the issue of Sylvia Blyden. I know what I'm talking about. And because I understand the type of pressure he was under, that is why I'm sympathetic, not to blame him the way people are blaming him when it comes to... Of course, there will be some disappointment on my part in terms of expecting that he should have maybe stood up more firmly. But I'm telling you the type of pressure from the donor community, from within the APC party, and from within even the cabinet itself. As I tell you, There, you had a cabinet colleague of mine who was done with UNICEF. They got the West African UNICEF country, the West Africa UNICEF resident, whatever they can call her, for do a letter to this my colleague. Take the letter, go to president. My colleague not even discuss with me. Your
colleague cabinet minister gets a letter from UNICEF and
now
instead of discussing with you, go to president.
Now themselves do and to themselves they. Then do the letter and get the West Africa, the UNICEF West Africa office for do the letter and take the letter and not discuss with me. Take the letter and can go to president like for say, well, this is not ultimatum. UNICEF, if you not sack this woman, UNICEF, the threat is there and they pull out. That's the type of pressure President Nkrumah was under. And he resisted all of that pressure to keep me in office because he knew my value. So to me, it was, he was under massive pressure.
So now make we talk a bit about politics. Well, a lot of people go be surprised that they see you appear with APC badge.
I mean
All
APC.
People's Congress and they say APC forever.
Yes, yes.
Are you still APC, especially so we will be the rumors, especially when it comes to running mates? We'll be reading rumor you about MGC running mates, and quite recently we read a rumor you about CDP running mates. Are you still
no more,
APC?
You know me that one day. You know me Kamaraimba running mates.
Yeah, and C4C also.
Well, I know me C4C, but I mean, I was rumored as running mate for, not just rumored, I was actually contacted by certain of the political parties after I was sacked, because you see, a lot of people really, I believe, say, know what you stand for in the country. So quite a lot of political parties may reach out to me. Some of them really broached the topic of running mates to me, and I know the responses I gave to them. But to come back to your issue of the All People's Congress, I am APC through and through. I am not leaving the APC. I'm not going to ever leave the APC. I'm going to support the APC. But for me, even in my support of the APC, Sierra Leone comes first. So the green, white, and blue, more important than the red.
So when will you start supporting the APC in this election? We not see you get hand na the APC campaign currently.
Well, waiting by APC campaign, you mean the presidential campaign?
Like, well, you are APC and we not see the Sylvia Blyden in 2007, well, 2012, that was really passionate about supporting the APC to win. So you are still APC, but it will seem like you're not going to mind if APC lost this time.
Well, I'm not going to say, I won't use the word I'm not going to mind if APC lost. But I think what I'm praying for, which is why I'm even doing this conversation that I'm doing now and that I'm going to continue doing, is for Sierra Leone to get the best leader. I mean, for Sierra Leone to get the best person, the person who is the best out of the lot, including even the APC. So if now the APC candidate not to the best, then I'm not going to want them for win the elections. I want to make that very clear. I go want the person who is the best for win the elections. So even though I will stay inside my APC party, if I see the APC candidate say this, if possible, say not to the best candidate, then I will pray for the one that the best candidate for be the next president of Sierra Leone.
Do you have personal comments about the candidature of Samora Kamara, your APC presidential candidate?
What's my personal comments?
What do you think of him? Do you think he's the best among the lot?
Among the lot, among the 16?
Among the 16.
Samora Kamara is he's an experienced man. He has served Sierra Leone for a long period of time. He knows the issues. He's also trusted by His Excellency the President, which is very key. You have to trust your successor within the party circles. And he has a lot of other positive traits to his credit. He has a lot of positive aspects to his credit. So I think that's what I would say.
Interesting. And I say interesting because we witness a situation wherein you rather support women's empowerment in this election where we did right now, as I follow you post them on the social media. You are more like this women's rights activist rather than being the fanatic APC supporter APC members are known to be.
Well, this women's issue you come up with yourself, nothing where they so pain me heart. I mean, I feel so emotional at the fact that when I look at the poor number of women that were given symbols by the various political parties, it pained me. Because I had set a structure in place in the ministry, what I mean called the Rural Women's Network. And that network, they were supposed to be the catalyst when I aim for grab, where the political party, they're not for create self-do waiting and do so now, where they not give women a symbol. Because when the grassroots women them from all over the country, we don't create that base for them. And these are voters, but they now know they are voters and they have power. I feel so badly that I was removed from the ministry at that point. I think that's the will of God. But I wish I was still at that ministry. And I wish the Rural Women's Project, Rural Women's Network Project may kick off. We're not going to get the situation we'll get right now where, look at what's happening. How many women were denied symbol? How many capable women were denied symbol? And most of all, there was no push to go look for women. We had to push some of these political parties to even tell the woman and say, una come, una not pay no money, una not pay application fee, una just can no more. Then at the end of the day, we still not give women. I really feel them. And for me, women's empowerment not just within show women them. No, women's empowerment means going down to the grassroots, empowering them down there. So the aspect of saying you see me as more a gender activist than a political party activist so far, just because at that point in time I was so passionate, say, for women and forget symbol, for more women to be empowered. But it's
so quickly talking about women in politics. I go want to let you comment on a particular issue right now we get for do with women in politics.
Okay.
I'm the wife of Mr. Julius Maada Bio, one of the people them where they contest this election. That is Fatima Bio. He recently made some comments lambasting President Ernest Bai Koroma. Well, some people say in a demeaning manner. You as a woman, waiting you go say towards that comments there?
Fatima actually was my friend. Fatima and I mean like my small sister in the Gambia. You know, I used to work in the Gambia. And Fatima saw me as her role model. They came to me for mentorship, everything. So the Fatima what they see now, they curse president, they blast. Not the Fatima what I know in Gambia. I'm just amazed at it. And from where it came really, from where I married Julius Maada Bio, I have not seen her, we have not spoken. But we used to be so close that Fatima, they fly come out Gambia, they can't visit me in a salon.
Wow.
Yes, we were that close. If they come out Gambia, not to want to tell, for come spend time with me in Sierra Leone. So the Fatima what they see now, I'm just amazed. I don't even understand what's happening. But for answer your question of whether he writes for a woman for Timapma Public and curse the president, that particular video, they are not see it. I hear say the audio was played, I don't even listen to that audio they yet. But I think some of what I hear and say is say, because now I have not watched it yet. I think it's unfortunate. And if you go eventually they watch this program, I go out for advice. I'm again as in big sister way. It means I've been many years back. Say it probably need for tone down a little bit for the attack the sitting president in that kind of way the way they say it's not true because I haven't listened to it. You probably might want to tone down. But having said that, I don't feel say because she's a woman, she should be intimidated from speaking out. If you feel to say something the way you want for say, as long as she says it in a respectful manner, she's just like any other man, right? And this is what we are fighting for. Gender equality, women's empowerment. It is her right to stand up in public and talk. But just that you need for tone down the attacking the president.
Sylvia, today mark exactly 10 weeks since they sack you. And I remember, say, from the very day where they sack you, I contacted you to come on the hot seat for let you discuss to the public, let the public know waiting at the circumstances which surround you sacking. And it was only 10 weeks later that you accept my invitation that Mr. Fonti, I'm ready to talk now on your hot seat. Why only now?
You're quite right. You believe, not just you, I mean, so many journalists, they call me, they want me on their programs, they want me to talk. You're quite right. And I made a decision not to say anything because, one, I was expecting the sack. What I was not expecting was the vicious way in which people who were close to the president came after me. That one shocked me. I was expecting the sack. If you notice, the night I was sacked, immediately I put out a statement. I was congratulating the new minister, everything. But now that same night, the way they went after me on social media, the next morning, presidential spokesman went after me on 98.1. I was like shocked. I was like, what's going on here? So I decided, you know what, just step back and watch. Sometimes it's good to just, of course, I issued a statement where I caution everybody, say, hey, una sabi me, una caution you. And then I stayed back. I wanted to see what was going on. And I realized that, one, I probably needed to take like a break. Went to London, get some small bereavement, went to London, and unfortunately, whilst I was in London, my grandpa died. So I had a series of bereavements, funerals, and by the time I'm ready for talk now, we had to wait until they bury my grandpa, and after them, because I promised my grandfather that I would make sure I state clearly to the world that the talk of me 6 billion loans not true. So I had to make sure I stick to that, which is why I called you and I said, well, yes, I'm ready to talk now. It's not to say I'm in the delay deliberately for talk. It's just that, one, I was stunned initially at the attacks because I couldn't make it out. You don't sack me, president don't sack me, then still they come after me. I was a bit stunned at it all. But I now decided that, one, I will use this opportunity. One, I have a platform. When I say they talk, when I say Sylvia Blyden, they can talk, a lot of people want to hear. So I'm going to use that platform to make sure the 5 weeks to the election, we raise the relevant topics then. For now, one of the topics I've raised is this issue of these donor funds, this money from donor community that's coming in. Sierra Leoneans, we need to now start pushing these presidential candidates about these monies that are coming in. That's one of the platforms that I'm going to be using.
So what are the chances of your party winning this election? I asked you this question, taking into consideration something where you post quite recently. On the APC nomination date, I saw you posting somewhere that, oh, we are happy as APC over the kind crowd where we seen a free tongue, but we not forget, say, SLPP was that popular at one point, and the two shipwreck scenario come in, and then they make the SLPP very unpopular and lost the election. And we witnessed now a situation just 1 week after you put that post there, say APC not forget about a possible two-ship scenario, and now we hear about IMF issue, IMF suspending funds.
IMF suspending funds if the presidential campaign team sober-minded, capable, they can handle it. I don't think it's something that cannot be handled. It can be handled if they know what they are doing. I believe it's something that is not a two-shipwreck scenario. It can be handled. It can be managed. What I think we have to be as a party, which I feel for really watch back on, that last 10 days, any bombshell can happen. We might not be able, they might not know how to handle them. They might not have the savviness, the skills, because there is a thing, you'll be on your toes. If you are not on your toes to fastly handle it, you might just lose the elections 7 to 10 days because you don't know how to handle something that's overflowed out. But in terms of the chances of the APC, one thing I can say, and I will say it easily on camera, is that there's going to be a runoff. Make no mistake on that. There's going to be a runoff election in Sierra Leone in March.
Then you have a different position from your party. Your party, Tolongbo Party, say that they win this election on the first ballot.
Well, I am speaking here as an experienced observer of electoral activities in Sierra Leone. And based on my experience, I know that there is going to be a runoff. There is not going to be a first round win for any of the parties. There is definitely going to be a runoff. And during the runoff elections, definitely the APC would be in the runoff elections. But they have to be very savvy.
Is that by God's grace, or you think the APC is very much popular to be in the runoff?
The APC by itself, without any issues, without any scandals, without the APC of itself, has a calculated base that it is always sure of. It's just like the SLPP has a calculated base that they are always sure of. Normally, I give a figure of 37% to the SLPP and I give 44% to the APC. So the APC is always gather them core supporter them where they not ever lose. Once then they in power. Or once then they as the opposition.
We have brought you the exclusives, their thoughts, their hopes, their visions. And now, we are bringing you what has never been brought before. In the most groundbreaking broadcast milestone since independence.
Elections, I think, is key to the way forward.
Wow. So, in a runoff, there are other political parties here with the rebut. What are the chances for other parties here so pitch tent with your party, the APC, or the SLPP?
You're assuming the SLPP would be in the runoff. Are you?
Well, we're just assuming it could be the NGC. So I just say, like APC, SLPP in a runoff. Where will the NGC, for example, go? Where will the ADP go? Or the APC and NGC in a runoff, where will a party like the SLPP go in your analysis?
I will not be able to give an answer to that one. In fact, maybe by mid-February, going towards the end of February. Because now waiting to happen, as always happens in all elections, not enough formate. Everything is in the formative stage. All man just it's like an amoeba. All the different parties there waiting to happen and just posturing and they happen. It is around them where the campaign will kick off. I think it's next week it kicks off. Then they don't begin move. Then you actually see the forms, then they begin form, the different forms, and they begin take shape. Then you can make predictions. But for now, waiting to happen are just like an amoeba. You're not able to really know who that strong side, who that weak side. I think by towards the end of February, you'll be able to really know which parties are going to be strong or not strong or what's given. And again, like you said, I think the IMF issue, the party will be able to handle it, but anything could happen. Okay, now as we wrap up small, there's a question about possible betrayal of trust, whether you betray the trust of the president or the president betrayed your trust. So if this is an opportunity, if this is an opportunity, because I asked the questions also because I am familiar with your relationship with President Ernest Bai Koroma well until in Saku. I don't know how the relationship there anymore. But if there is a betrayal of trust and you have the opportunity to say, Mr. President, I am sorry, are you going to use the hot seat to say sorry to the president? Or if President Ernest Bai Koroma is going to apologize to you for betraying your trust, will you still accept him as your friend? The president is my friend. He's not just only a friend. The president, I consider him to be like a big brother to me. I know it sounds strange, and to some people, like the ones that attacked me this morning, they possibly would think, I have a way I look at my relationships I maintain. I can compartmentalize issues. I can know that we don't come off far. So not so just one-off incident, we can pull everything between me and President Koroma. We've come from far away. We have things that have happened where I've helped him out, he has helped me out. So you don't just look this one off, say, oh, he sacked me, well, I don't vex. No. So the president is my friend, he's my big brother, and we maintain, I believe we would maintain the relationship. But in terms of apologizing to him, honestly, I have not done anything that I should apologize for. Nothing at all. I owe absolutely no apology to him. On his own part, I think he was put under a lot of pressure, a lot of psychological pressure, a lot of political pressure to sack me. So if anything, I have a lot of sympathy for him and where he finds himself at this point in time. And I want to appeal again to people that they should realize he's going away. He's handing over. He's no longer a factor. He's no longer an issue. People should stop the way they
even when
him.
People think the president, Samora Kamara candidature is like a President Koroma candidature. Like he's not really going. Samora Kamara coming in is the same as President Ernest Bai Koroma being the president.
Fonty, they need a length power. They need a length power So all them people already talk, say, oh, and it's by Kuma, you go the remote control Samura. No. The minute he hands over that baton, if not to Samura Kamara, because we don't know who is going to be. Or let's say it is to Samura Kamara. The minute he hands over that baton to Samura Kamara, that's it. Samura now is the supreme executive authority, the commander-in-chief, the grand commander of the Republic of Sierra Leone, the fountain of order, the guardian of the Constitution. He's now that all-powerful being. Who's remote control president will they do again? No. I believe, and based on my personal discussions with the president, I believe the president genuinely wants to hand over and take a rest. Yes, if you watch, fine. Other presidents, they see them Donald Trump, they see him, then they fly, and they go out for holidays for weeks with their family. When I watch, fine, President Kuma don't work now the 10 years this. When they see he go holiday? No. I think he wants to rest. So always in they talk, but say, oh, the man wants for remote control Samura. I don't think it is true. I think people should really give him a break. Yes, he's a human being. He's made mistakes. He don't make beaucoup mistakes, as any human being will make. But he has done wonderful things also for Sierra Leone. So I go appeal, make people there just.
How will you put into percentage his mistakes and the good things their way in or do? Let me say the good things them. How many percent will you give President Koroma?
Mr. Fonti, this is really the hot seat. You want me to give a percentage? It was difficult for you because the mistakes could take different realms. There will be political mistakes, there will be administrative mistakes.
So maybe 60% mistakes and 40% good things? No,
I will not want to give that type of percentage. As I say, there are different realms of things, okay? So it depends. Politics, they make mistakes. As president, he make mistakes. So you're not going to be able to say this percentage. I would prefer not to give.
So what thing will be your parting words as we end the program now?
That I go on for come back on the hot seat. This is just one of the times then we come at the hot seat, but I want to come again. And I also want to urge listeners them for no say one. There was no 6 billion leon stolen. That rubbish. They made the fair way for pull me at the ministry. They don't try all kind of way. They don't use small picking there. They don't use this and don't use that. The president not agree take. So they found all types of tactics that morning to get me out. So then one the way they say a thief money or 6 billion loss, na liar. No 6 billion leon no loss, and not thief 1 cent. In fact, if anything safe, na me they spare me couple, million couple, hundreds of millions of leons of million money for make sure say the ministry function. 30 days, the ministry owe me boku money. So when I get that confidence, that when I Sylvia Blyden, when I know, when I believe, when I'm in trust. So I'm a very trustworthy person when I the joke with corruption, are the same person I'm in that ministry day. And not ever corrupt and not thief no 6 billion. Secondly, I want to assure and say these elections are the day with now we get the discussions, we are going to have conversations. Say election day. I will the kind of radio programs, I will the kind of television, we're going to bring topics that we discuss them. And like I want all they listen to me so right now, I they assure and say we will defend topic them, we're going to make all go continue for they can't listen to me. Say election day. Because this country belongs to all of us. And we really want to make this country the next 5 years, President Komana go they go so. They don't do it your own. But whoever they come after them, that person we get for make sure say we choose somebody where one he believe God. He afraid God. If they put God first by anything where they do, then they're very important. That person will for choose. If we believe in God, if we put God ahead of everything where they do, that's the first point. The second point, the person they choose, if forget a stable emotional life. Emotional life whereby nobody is able to come Ben Benham for say, well, this way or that way or play on the emotions. No. We need somebody with a stable family life, a very stable home, where they're not able to can play psychology on. We also need to get a president who elect Sierra Leone. So we will continue this conversation. This is just the start. I break my silence today on hot seat. Yes, they say hot seat and hot seat way, and they ask you all kind of questions. And indeed, Fonty don't ask me all kind of questions. I think I don't manage them to the best of my abilities. I'm going to come again, and we're going to have this conversation. We're going to continue this conversation until March 2018, we will choose the next president of Sierra Leone.
Thank you very much. That na Sylvia Olayinka Walmina Erishola Blyden, we na be the former Minister of Social Welfare, Gender and Children's Affairs, na the President announced by Koroma-led government of Sierra Leone. And finally, the break in silence